Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is still smoky in Vancouver. So, yet again, we won't be going too crazy hard because I don't know what the circumstances are like in your room or, for even for me, I haven't been able to do as much as I would normally do. So, we will be gentle on our lungs, but we're not going to be gentle on our cores today. And that's not to say that it's going to end up being a whole Pilates class, but we will do a little bit more core focused yoga. If you have a block, really useful today. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. You still be able to do the same things that I will be demonstrating with a block. Also, if you have a chip foam block or a rolled up towel or something like that, that could be really useful. Again, don't have to have it. So let's start lying down. Have your props handy if you have props to use. It'll take a few moments here just to, settle onto the mat, depending on what your day has been like so far. Maybe it's been really hectic, or maybe you just woke up. So you might need to move a little bit, fidget, fix, that's fine. And then for a few breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away through your mouth. A couple more. And continue breathing however feels best, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. And then notice how your breath is flowing, if it feels really open and spacious. Or maybe you notice some sticky or choppy spots along the way. If so, just maybe gently try to lengthen through those parts, just smooth the breath out a little bit more. Last few breaths here. And then gently bring a deeper breath back, or maybe yawn, a little bit of movement, whatever you need. And then bring your feet to the mat, hip width apart-ish, parallel-ish. Not a big deal necessarily how the feet are positioned, but just not too wide, too narrow. And then I want you to think of pressing your low back into the floor and feeling how that activation feels through the transversus abdominis, right? As well as slight little bit in the rectus abdominis. So this is targeting the lower. And then lift up the low back a little bit and then press it down. So it's a very subtle engagement, but it does start to engage particularly, as I said, the transversus abdominis, which is the deepest core muscle, or at least of the abdominal group that we have. So we're just going to lift and press and lift and press. So this is just starting to bring awareness to that part of our body, right? Starting to turn on that section of the core. Usually when people say the core, you might think, oh, that just means the abdominals group, right? But I would include the glutes and of course the back muscles as well as part of the core group, and the hip flexors too. Last one here. And then the next time that you press it down, keep it pressed. Keep that little bit of engagement of the low back pressing into the floor. And from here, pick up your feet. Bringing them into a sort of a tabletop position. All right, that's like a Pilates tabletop. So knees stacked over hips, and then just gently tap a toe down, and then bring the knee back. And a little tap down and back. Couple more on each side. Now there are ways that we can make this a little bit less intense, and in fact that's by having the feet on the floor and just extending one heel along the floor and then the other while still keeping the low back pressed into the floor. To make it harder, you extend one leg at a time without releasing that engagement of the low back from the floor. So wherever you are, whether it's toe taps or extending the legs or heel drags, last couple each side. As soon as you lose the engagement of low back pressing into the floor though, try to find it again. If you can't, then take it back a step, find that engagement, and then continue. Last one. And shake it out. Whew, little release. And then come back to that tabletop position. So maybe you set up here, press the low back in, and then reach or bring the knees up. So this time we're going to all come to knees over hips and then shins parallel to the floor-ish. This is where you might bring a chip foam block in between your thighs. And what this does is it just gives you more feedback that you want to keep hugging the legs toward each other here. Right? Sometimes the knees start to drift apart and you're not doing as much work. So if you have that chip foam block or a towel even, go ahead and put it between your thighs and then arms out to the side for a little bit of stability. Keep that press down of the low back into the floor. Inhale here. And inhale rather, go to the right and exhale back to center. And then inhale to the left, exhale back to center. So you can see I'm not moving a lot. I want the shoulder blades to stay firmly rooted into the floor with every twist. And also every time you come back to center, press the low back into the earth. Now I don't have space to demo this on the one side, but if you want to make it more challenging, you can extend the legs each time you go out to the side. Keep pressing the shoulder blades into the earth. Last couple twists here. Keep hugging the legs toward each other. Don't lose the feedback of the block or the towel between the legs, or even just hugging the thighs together. And one more each side. And then back to center. Release, shake it out a little bit. So that one we're starting to get the obliques, right? The inner and outer oblique muscles, that they kind of go diagonally on the body. That's why I've been touching myself like that, is to demonstrate how the muscle fibers go. And they help, right, twist the body. So speaking of twisting, we'll do that one more to target all the groups, but particularly the obliques. This is where, if you have a block, it would be really useful. Again, if you don't have one, don't worry about it. So press the low back into the floor, come back to that tabletop position, Shins more or less parallel with the earth. And then I want you to bring a block to your left thigh. Hand behind your head on the right arm, and then press the right arm into the block. Here you're going to reach the left arm out to the side and just do some pulses. If you don't have the block, then you could press your elbow into your knee. It's just perhaps a little bit less comfortable. Right? So here we go. Last option is to extend the right leg. It gets a little bit unbalanced. So we're kind of not so much curling up as you are trying to reach that arm to the bottom right, left corner, bottom left corner of your mat. Last 3, 2, 1, and come back to center. Shake it out a little bit. You're probably really feeling the obliques on that left side. And then we'll switch it up. So press the low back in, bring the block, if you have it, to that right thigh. Left hand to the head, bend the elbow, elbow comes to the block, and then pulse. Keep pressing your elbow into the block, your thigh into the block. If you don't have a block, then knee into elbow, elbow into knee. Last 3, 2, 1. Back to center. Woo, release it all out. Take your feet mat width apart, a little windshield wiper the knees from side to side. And then come back to center. Let's take a little break, at least from the abdominals as being the main muscle group for working the core. And we'll come into a bridge. So feet hip width apart, parallel-ish, close enough into your bum you can tickle your heels with your fingertips, and then press your feet into the floor. Inhale, peel the spine up, and exhale, lower it back down. Okay, so now we're getting into glutes, hip flexors, also abdominals for stabilization, quadriceps a little bit. Should feel quite nice as we lift up into bridge to open up the front line of the body. The next time that you're up in bridge, pause there. Okay, maybe you choose to walk onto the outside edge of the shoulders. You could bend the elbows or clasp your hands behind your back. I'm going to stick with robot arms just for a little bit more stability here. And then send all your weight into your left foot, and maybe you start to pick up the right knee. Make sure that right hip doesn't dip down. Lift it up, and then gently step that foot down. And then pick up the left knee, and down. So there will be a little weight shift from side to side. That's natural, but you really squeeze the bum on the leg that is supporting. And then pause back in center. Let's make it a little bit more challenging. Maybe you press the palms into the earth now. Weight to that left leg, pick up the right knee, and extend the leg to the sky. Couple breaths here. Press your toes up into the sky. Bend the right knee, bring it back down, and then opposite side, right? Weight goes into that right foot, squeeze the bum, pick up the left knee, and then reach the left toes up to the sky. Bend the knee, plant the foot, slowly roll back down. Hug your knees into your chest. Woo, a little rock from side to side. Massage at the base of the spine and the pelvis. And then from here, start to rock and roll up and down your spine. If that feels okay, you can always roll to one side and press yourself up. But we're going to meet in hands and knees. So setting up with knees underneath hips, toes can be tucked or untucked. Hands outer shoulder width apart or wider. As you inhale, lift the tail onto the sky. Hollow through the lower back, broaden through the collarbones. And exhale, round through your spine. Tuck the tailbone under. Really find a release through the low back. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. So there's always a few more of these undulations on your own time, on your own breath. Moving however you need to. So if there's any other natural movement that feels good, go where you need to go. And then on your next exhale, come back to center. So a little draw of belly button to spine. Toes tucked this time will give you quite a bit more support. And then on your inhale, reach the right arm forward and up. Thumb to the sky, palm to the left. Now that right arm has a tendency to dip down. So can you bring it up and out of your peripheral vision? So that doesn't mean dip the head down. That means you keep the head long. Second option is to start to reach the left leg back. Toes might be to the floor, or maybe you start to de-weight that leg. Really reach the heel back. So that lifted leg should be really active. Make sure it doesn't lift too high that you start to dip in the low back. Right? Drop the heel. In fact, when you look back, you should be able to see your toes. Okay, now really press that left hand into the floor. Press, 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 press. Fight against gravity with that right arm. Reach the lifted heel further back. Last few breaths here. And exhale. Release, little wiggle or shake. It's surprisingly challenging work, working the core in an isometric fashion, right? So you're not changing the length, right? Extending and flexing, but you're keeping everything the same length as we work those core muscles, which they're designed mostly to be, right, as stabilizers for the body. So let's switch sides. Okay, really plant the hands, or particularly the right hand, and then inhale the left arm forward and up. Thumb to the sky, palm to the right. Lift it up so you don't open it up to get it out of the peripheral vision. And I only say that as so long as it doesn't hurt, all right? It doesn't impinge on the shoulder joint. Right? Make sure that you press the low back up to the sky, same as if we were lying down. Second option, right toes start to reach back, or maybe you pick that leg up. Don't lift too high so the belly dips. Right? Look back, make sure you can see the toes on that lifted foot. Belly button to spine, press the low ribs up to the sky. Fight against gravity with that left hand. Really root the right arm or palm down. A few more breaths here. Last 3, 2, 1. Exhale, release. Hands and knees, little wiggle or shake. You can stay here, moving and grooving if you'd like to. Maybe you choose to take child's pose for a deeper rest, or maybe you come into downward facing dog. So wherever you need to be for a few breaths, right? And if none of those options work, go where you need to go. So. Okay. If you're on hands and knees or in child's pose, tuck your toes and start to lift the hips up into downward facing dog. You can pedal your heels here. You could wag your tail from side to side. You might shift the weight forward and back. And then bend your knees a little bit more in downward facing dog and start to lift the sit bones to where the back wall meets the ceiling. From there, maintaining that length in the back, maybe you start to straighten the back of the legs. The heels might never reach the floor in downward facing dog. That is fine. That's not the point. Right? The point is finding that length through the back. Okay, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of the mat, standing forward fold. Little wiggle or sway. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. 2 more. Bend your knees, bring your hands to your hips, wrap the shoulders, the elbows back toward each other. Charge the legs. Inhale, come up partway. Pause, back long, being the sit bones and your heart in opposite directions. And then inhale, come all the way up to standing. Shake it out. Release a little bit. All right, I hope you are all doing well. With that was 20 minutes of core already. We don't have much time left. Feet hip width apart, a little buoyancy on the knees. And I just want you to shift your weight back and forth. All right, so we have done a lot through the trunk, through the back with that sort of balancing cat. And now let's get into the glutes just a little bit more. And then that will be all of our core. Okay, so find a spot that's, or position that is even between the two. Little draw of belly button to spine. And then sit your hips down and back for chair pose. So tailbone down slightly, just to feel the belly button engage toward the spine. Right, we're not tucking under, but you also don't want that accentuated space. Right, so just this. And then maybe hands in prayer, or cactus, or overhead, wherever you need to be. Keep sinking a little bit deeper. Make sure the knees aren't caving in. Send them out to the baby toe edges of the feet. And then inhale, come all the way up. Shake it out a little bit. And then send all the weight to the right foot. A little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Belly button to spine, shoulders on the back. And then inhale, the left knee high. Now, as soon as I did this, I noticed that my hip lifted. So make sure your left hip roots down a little bit. And then take a couple pulses here. Just easy pulses of the supporting leg. Whoa. You don't have to fall over like me if you don't want to. Kick your heel to bum, lean forward, keep the pulses going. Bring the knee forward again. Slow them down. Inhale here. As you exhale, start to reach your left leg back into that sort of running position. Inhale all the way back up. And exhale, reach. So we've done this one a bit, or a lot, depending on how long you've been coming to my classes or doing these videos. But it's a fantastic one for really starting to work and activate the glutes on the supporting leg. One more breath here. Pause here. Keep that support, or that lifted leg bent. Bring the arms into cactus. Maybe you stay here, or as you exhale, twist the upper body to the right. Inhale back to center. Exhale left. Inhale once more each side. Exhale to the right. Inhale center. Exhale left. Inhale center, and then inhale, draw that lifted knee all the way forward and through. Exhale, release. Woo. Shake it out a little bit. I don't know about you, but my right glutes kind of feel like rock hard now. Send all the weight to that left leg. Buoyancy on the supporting knee. Pick up the right knee and get the pulses going again. Kick your heel to bum, lean forward. Continue the pulses. Bring the knee forward again, slow it down. I'm going to turn it again to the side. Inhale here. Exhale, reach the right leg back. Inhale, back up. And exhale, reach. So just moving on your own time. The more you bend the knee on that supporting leg, the more you're going to feel it in the butt, in the glutes. All right, send the hips back so it's kind of like chair pose, kind of like warrior three. The next time that you reach that right leg back, pause there, knee bent, both knees bent, arms to cactus. So either stay here or inhale here. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale back. Exhale right. Ooh. Inhale back to center. Once more each side. Okay, and then slowly inhale, draw that lifted knee all the way forward and through. Exhale, release. Shake it out a little bit. A little release of the booty. Ooh, all right. That's enough standing up. Inhale up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands, step back to plank, either from your toes or from your knees. Just a couple breaths here. And then exhale, lower all the way down to the earth. Little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Last little bit is to getting in to the back line just a little bit more. Press the tops of the feet into the floor, so much so you feel your kneecaps. Lift away, send your tailbone to the back wall, belly button to spine. And then inhale, lift the heart forward and up. And pause here. Keep the back of the neck long, looking down rather than forward, unless you need to see what I'm doing. Wrap your shoulders onto your back. Hands can hover or reach along back beside you. Some of you might start to reach the legs so far back they deweigh as well. Hug everything back into the center line, and maybe you lift everything up a little bit more. Last few breaths. Squeeze the shoulder blades toward each other. Exhale, release all the way down. One cheek to the floor. Deep belly breaths to release through the lower back. Come back to center. We'll do one last set. So legs active, belly button to spine. Inhale, lift the heart forward and up. Maybe the legs as well. Any arm variation of your choice. If you want to make it more challenging, reach the arms forward. Keep breathing. Exhale, release all the way down. Opposite cheek to the earth. And then gently roll yourself over onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest. Little rock from side to side. And then gently allow the knees to go over to the left for a little twist. Just a release through the torso. Allow this to be a place of ease. So if you could prop underneath the knees to give yourself more ease, let the feet rest to the floor so you're not hovering. And then inhale, back to center. Shift your hips left. Exhale the knees to the right. And then inhale back to center if there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest. maybe curling into a little ball, or maybe something like happy baby. Feel free to go where you would like to go. And then start to think about how you would like to rest today. It could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight. You could rest on your side, or in child's pose, or in a seated meditation, wherever you need to go. And then for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And then let go of all breath control. Any last muscle gripping or tension. With each exhale, allow your body to melt a little bit deeper into the earth. Stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.